So step right up, if you dare. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the legendary JoJo, the dog-faced boy.
Russia, 1872. Snatched from a life of rejection and poverty, Theodore Jeftichou was a startling phenomenon. Completely covered in hair and a spectacle on stage at the tender age of 4. But by 16, he was on his way to fame in America. Wrapped in a blanket, howling to please the crowd. Dignified and impeccably groomed, but promoted as JoJo, the dog-faced boy, he played the role with enthusiasm. The burning question on the minds of millions: was JoJo the fabled missing link between man and beast?
I think that's something that captured people's imagination and created a sense of awe and fear.
Be amazed by the tortured truth of the hairiest human.
JoJo's success won him fame and fortune, yet the press remained skeptical, taking turns grabbing at his hairy face to see if it was real.
Even in the medical side, as a dermatologist, this is not something we see. And so you would go up and wonder, is this real?
To find out if JoJo was really a freak of nature, and to better understand his bizarre condition, we've come to a special effects workshop to take a closer look at the man behind the beast. Our investigative team, Jay McLennan, the key special effects makeup artist behind the characters in the X-Men movies.
I decided to use some of my background in forensic reconstruction.
And Dr. Robert Buckman, a world-renowned medical consultant.
People are superstitious about hairy faces.
For the first time ever, JoJo's face will be reconstructed and unmasked.
I used a system of tissue depth markers, some scientific charts that exist for different tissue depths for different races. Looking at his photographs, I was able to build out the features I could see in his eyes and the shape of his nose and the shape of his mouth.
JoJo was skillfully promoted as an outrageous contrast: man, beast, or something in between. But he was none of these. JoJo suffered from an extremely rare hereditary disorder.
Hypertrichosis is a medical term that describes too much hair. It's abnormal hair in the sense that it's not where hair should be, like a woman with a beard.
In the womb, JoJo, like all children, was covered in lanugo, a prenatal hair the fetus sheds before birth. For JoJo, the lanugo persisted, and worse, flourished into lustrous, fine locks.
It wasn't normal hair. It wasn't the kind of hair you would find in a beard or on your scalp. This was hair that was much thinner, less than half the thickness of regular hair.
As if that wasn't enough, JoJo did not have normal teeth. He had fangs, a typical problem for those with hypertrichosis.
We know his dentition wasn't as full as this fellow's hair.
Absolutely.
He was missing all of his incisors in the middle.
He just had a 2 and a 3, didn't he?
That's right.
Sometimes with hair disease, people will often have dental abnormalities. So this really fits within the kind of syndrome that we see here.
This was all built up with clay over top of this skull.
Right.
And then I built in a neck, put a structure underneath with some wire mesh. And from there, then we had to make a mold of that so that we could reproduce it into a final silicone model.
Now, revealed for the first time, JoJo, the dog-faced boy, as nobody has ever seen him before, and as he himself never attempted to see, the face behind the hair. But JoJo wasn't alone. These so-called freaks of nature captivated audiences the world over. In the Far East, the sacred hairy family of Burma was lionized by its people. Children of those with rampant lanugo growth have a 50% chance of suffering the same fate.
If one parent had it and you happen to get that gene as a kid, you just need one gene, you get it.
Modern science continues to search for a cure. Even now, Jojo would look much the same today as he did in the 1800s. Our effects wizard, Jay, spent over a week applying hair to Jojo's face to bring him back to life.
I used 2 full wigs to make him. One of the wigs I cut up into pieces and fit them on underneath in strips like this, which built up volume. And then after that, we get up to the area where you see his facial features. All those were punched in one at a time with a needle.
So this is it. Jojo, the Russian dog-faced boy. Let's spin him around and see what he looks like.
There he is.
Jojo restored.
Surprisingly, he even has his nose covered with hair, which is really unusual.
Now, all these hairs, each of them had a sebaceous gland putting out sebum, which is that waterproof, oily stuff. Jojo spent 2.5 hours every day grooming to get rid of the oil and all the accumulated stuff.
Jojo was more than comfortable in his own skin. Highly intelligent, speaking 4 languages, yet on stage, he suffered any indignity for his paying audiences.
They required him to howl and bark and snap and eat bones. And he tolerated all that with good nature, and he was a real dignified, he was a gent. He wasn't the missing link, he was a gent, and people wanted to look at him and be near him.
Jojo lived a long and celebrated life, all the result of a rare genetic disorder that caused very hairy complications.